I think that it's fair to say that we're living in very interesting times, and we should have our eyes wide open and really be prepared for a very big revolution that will come. Because I think that right now we are in a kind of a period that should be called rather evolution than revolution, and revolution is still ahead of us.
Fast, charged, electromobile. Welcome to EV generation, a place where the future becomes reality.
Welcome to another episode of EV Generation podcast, where we guide you through topics from ecology and technology to lifestyle and e-mobility trend. My name is Marina. I am passionate about e-mobility, sustainable transportation and ecology. And my guest today is Maciej Mazur, president of AVERE, co-chair of Electrification Alliance and managing director of PSNM. It's very nice to host you here in our podcast studio.
Hi Marina, hi everyone. Great to be here.
I want to start with AFIR because it's come into effect in April of this year, and now all countries, European Union countries, are obligated to meet these requirements of this regulation. Could you tell us what is the goal of these regulations? What are these requirements? Is it chance of for economy or just big challenge that we have to meet up?
Thanks for that question. I think that it's a chance and in parallel it's a challenge because the goals are quite ambitious for quite a lot of countries, 27 in the EU. So we've got quite a lot of goals related to infrastructure. For example, we've got goals to electrify TEN-T network, and that's going to be a huge challenge because not only we are speaking about passenger vehicles, but as well about heavy-duty vehicles. So that's something that we will achieve probably not next year, not in 3 years' time, but in the next decades. So that's a very big challenge, but we were working on AFIR since actually 2014, because in 2014 that was the first regulation called a directive. Right now it's a regulation, so it's very important change because directive means that we've got to implement it here in Poland and in every different country in EU. Regulation means that it's already in place. So it means that we've got to do it. And hopefully Poland will be not one of those that will not meet the requirements, but one of those countries that will meet those requirements. So I think that it's a huge, incredible job in front of all of us, in front of the industry and in front of central authorities, local authorities, because the change is huge. It's going to be huge for the power grid. It's going to be huge for the automotive industry, for the infrastructure industry, but we should treat it as a chance. For sure, it's a chance for the Polish economy because we are one of the biggest players in the automotive sector. It's a very important part of our GDP, together with logistics sector in total 15% of our GDP. So we've got to be very active in this regard, and we've got to do everything we can to fulfill it. We treat it as PSNM as a huge chance for Polish economy, but we've got to really start doing instead of just discussing what are the goals.
And we are talking of e-mobility industry, maybe not in Poland, but in European Union. What's the biggest challenges now of the development of the industry, do you see? So which next steps we have to make to go further?
I think it's fair to say that there are quite a lot of challenges, and we should not be afraid of saying it loud that there are quite a lot of challenges. There are some challenges related to the infrastructure, to the grid connection, but there are quite a lot of challenges in building awareness. We can hear what sometimes politicians are saying. We can hear what some stakeholders are saying who are against because of the fact that they are afraid or they do not know a lot about this technology. So to really be able to create a mass market, we've got large-scale market. We've got to build the awareness, and I think that's the first step. And then after the first step, we've got some other challenges, like for example infrastructure. And I think it's fair to say that. We as Poland, we are not any different than France or Germany.
It was my next question because
sorry for that.
Because in Poland, of course, level of the awareness is growing up, especially if we are talking about passenger car, electric trucks, a lot of skepticism. But and how does it look in other countries of European Union, maybe in China? Is it biggest awareness and biggest positive thoughts about e-mobility among people?
This year, almost 500,000 battery electric vehicles were registered in Europe. So that's quite a lot. 500,000, it's 12% of the total amount of new cars registered in Europe. That's the same amount as diesel cars. So we can already say that it's not a niche anymore. It's a big part of the market, mostly in Western Europe, obviously. In the CE region, we are lagging behind. We should be quite open to accept this fact, and we should do something about it. Having said that, I think it's as well worth mentioning that the challenges related, for example, to heavy-duty vehicles are quite the same in Poland and the same in Spain, the same in France, the same in Germany. So the grid is having those challenges all over Europe, and we've got to do something about it. Obviously, in Poland or in the Czech Republic, in Hungary, it takes more months to have a grid connection. Unfortunately, in Poland, it's sometimes taking years. In Germany, it takes months. The maximum amount is around 2-3 years. In our case, in some cases, it's even 6 or 8 years. So that's something that we cannot accept if we are willing to be one of the leaders, if not in the passenger vehicles, at least in heavy-duty vehicles. But I think that building awareness is the same challenge all over Europe. We are hearing from our friends from Italy the same what is happening in Poland. We're hearing the same in Germany. So it's not that it's over and all people are already convinced that this direction is the right one. Still, we've got to build this awareness. We've got to increase the knowledge, and then after years of education people, we can achieve this success.
The level of development of e-mobility markets in different countries in Europe are different. So, of course, in the west part of Europe, it's more development. Our part of Europe is a little bit less development. Will be a big challenge for Europe to make these levels like in the same level? Is it a goal of AFIR to make that situation real?
I think it's never going to be the same all over Europe. We've got to accept that, for example, Germany is the biggest market, and the number of vehicles being registered there will not be to compare with what is registered in Poland or in Czech Republic. In terms of the amount of battery electric vehicles, obviously, will be increasing this amount, and right now in Poland we've got around 4 or 5%, so that's not a lot. In Germany, we've got today around 12-13%, so a little bit higher number, but last year it was around 20%. So we see that the CE region is lagging behind, but there are some countries like Romania or Hungary that are already around 10%. We are the biggest market in the CE, so that's a kind of a unique situation, and I think that we got to accept that the change will be slower in Poland than in a very small market like Czech Republic or Slovakia. That's quite obvious. So we should do quite a lot, and we are happy about the new subsidy schemes that were declared a couple of weeks ago. But still, I think that we should more focus on heavy duty, because from our very own perspective of the biggest player in this field, it's necessary not to let the situation that we are already having in the passenger vehicles market, so that we are lagging behind, see in the heavy duty vehicles market, where we are the third biggest player in Europe in terms of new trucks being registered, just after France and Germany. Germany is obviously a leader here as well. But every fifth truck registered in Europe, in general, is registered in Poland. So we've got really to help our economy to electrify this part as well.
What we can do to do that?
Start doing actually something very concrete. Take some actions, because right now we are hearing quite a lot about AFIR, and that's good, because we are building this awareness, and we are doing quite a lot as PSNM. You are doing quite a lot as Sekoenergetyka, and that's great. But central authorities and local authorities have to take it very seriously. Have to accept the fact that we really right now are obliged to do something. So we need to take a closer look why it takes years to have a grid connection, and why we do not have so many hubs as we would like to have, or we need to have. Because right now it's moving from we would like to have to we really need to have those hubs. So I think that apart from subsidies, apart from some tax changes, we need really to change the energy law in the way that it's going to be much faster to have a grid connection, because we see that there are quite a lot of CPOs waiting
that are ready to do that.
They're ready, and they've got money, they've got people, they've got nice looking charging stations, so they're ready to go, but they cannot do it because of the grid connection. And we are actually losing quite a lot of money, because we are using some funds from, for example, CEF or from National Fund, Polish funds, and we cannot use them properly because of the time that we are waiting for the grid connection. So we really need to do something. Plus, we need to start treating e-mobility or new mobility in general as a chance. We've got to think about kind of industrial policy. We're discussing this issue quite a lot in Europe recently, and I think that the new Commission and the new Parliament will be quite focused on industrial policy, and we've got to do the same here in Poland. We've got to connect the dots, see that there are some companies that are quite active in Poland and should be seen as a kind of ambassadors of this change. We should help some industry like lithium-ion batteries market to grow. We've got to really treat this moment as a chance, because if not, we'll lose a lot, because there are hundreds of thousands of people working in the automotive sector, hundreds of thousands of people working in the logistics sector, and we can lose those jobs. We can lose this 15% of GDP in total, TSL plus automotive industry. So we really need to act quite fast, and not only discuss it during some panel discussions, conferences. They are quite important. I'm sure about it. We are organizing quite a big one, but still it's not only about discussing. It's right now about really doing something.
Could we be inspired by a success of some countries that develop e-mobility in a really high level? For example, Norway and its tax policy, because it was a big factor of the success of development e-mobility market.
That's very true, although I think that we've got to analyze each case and individually, because in the case of Norway, they achieved a huge success. That's absolutely very true, but their tax system is not to be implemented in Poland. The First reason is that they get rid of VAT tax, and we cannot do it as a part of EU. They are not a part of EU. That's why they were able to do it. Plus, they've got a lot of taxes, and we do not have them. So in our case, creating a bonus-malus system would mean that we, first of all, would be obliged to implement some taxes and then get rid of them for electric vehicles.
Okay.
So I think that that's not how we would like to build the awareness, because I suppose quite a lot of people...
New taxes is not positive thing.
Yeah, that's not the road we would like to take. So, but there are some other ways of doing it right. So we should take a closer look how success was achieved in Germany, in France, in Spain, in some of the countries in the CE as well. Because, for example, when we are speaking about subsidies for second-hand cars, we are not the very first one to do it. Actually, we haven't done anything. We just declared that that's our goal. But such schemes already exist, for example, in Lithuania. So not only in Western Europe, there are some really good stories to follow, as well in our region. And when we are speaking about industrial policy, actually there are some countries even outside of EU, like UK, which already implemented this kind of strategies, holistic strategies that are focus on building, on helping the economy to grow.
How do you see development of e-mobility market in 5-10 years?
That's a very difficult question, because I was answering to this kind of questions by asking what was the landscape 10 years ago. And that was totally different landscape. And we were not aware that the change will be so fast. So I hope that the same will happen in our case, that in 2034, so 10 years from now, we will see quite a lot of electric vehicles on our streets, maybe some autonomous vehicles as well, hopefully some trucks. I've got a small son, 3 years old. So I hope that Mikołaj will not be even interested in having a driving license, because there are gonna be some autonomous vehicles in the late 30s and early 40s on our streets. But we'll see. Maybe the powertrains will be different. We'll see what this kind of company, Energetyka, will be doing in 10 years' time. I think that it's fair to say that we're living in very interesting times, and we should have our eyes wide open and really be prepared for a very big revolution that will come, because I think that right now we are in a kind of a period that should be called rather evolution than revolution, and revolution is still ahead of us.
What are you planning in this year of Congress New Mobility Edition?
To be much bigger than last year.
Last year it was a really huge level.
That's great to hear, but this year it's gonna be much bigger, because we're building another expo. Next to the expo, we had a conference last year. It's gonna be very interesting, quite a lot of topics. As you know, we changed our name from alternative fuels to new mobility, so there are more and more very interesting topics that we'd like to cover. So I think that between 24th and 26th of September, it's gonna be very interesting to be in Łódź and to hear what we are doing, and I'm sure that Energetyka will be there as well.
Of course, we are preparing for that. And last traditional question, if you could change one thing in e-mobility world, what could it be?
A very good question. One thing, I think that it would be great to have a kind of a time machine and to take back time and to be actually better prepared for that change as Europe, as quite a lot of Unfortunately, companies from Europe, I think that they were not treating this change as seriously as they should, mainly from the automotive industry. And that's why we've got quite a lot of newcomers from States, from China right now. And that's obviously not so good for our European economy. Fortunately, infrastructure companies were not so blind and are in a better position, and that's why Ecoenergetica can already think about something bigger and being a global player. But still, it would be great to take back time and not only focus on some very important regulations like AFIR, like EPBD and the others, but actually act much faster. That would be better for our European economy, and that would be better for this whole revolution.
Definitely. Thank you very much for our talk.
Thanks a lot. That was a pleasure.
Pleasure for me, and our viewers and listeners I invite to join us for next episode of EV Generation podcast that will be published next Thursday on our YouTube channel. And don't forget to sign up to our newsletter to get the first news from e-mobility world.
Fast, charged, electromobile, EV generation. A place where the future becomes reality.